Hello and hello and namaste. This is Dr. Deepak Chand Saroj from Saket Girls PG College. I welcome you to online classes by our college. So today we are going to study a very important topic that is called enzymes. It is very important molecule which is doing lots of function in our body on in our cell in each and every living entity is depending on this for their functions more or less. So first we will see about the historical perspective of the enzymes, how enzymology has been evolved from very ancient time. So in 1837 there was a Virgilius. He recognized that in the grape we have sugars and sugar gets fermented into alcohol, and by the virtue of ferments, he named the ferments. Ferments is a chemical which is catalyzing this fermentation process, which is converting the sugar of grape into the alcohol. So he named it ferments. And later in 1857, Pasteur, he proposed that this is very essential component which is present in the living cell, and it can do its function, it can do its job only when it is present in the living cells, and in the fermentation he has living yeasts. And then moving ahead, Kuhne introduced the term enzyme in 1878. Enzyme is derived from Greek word. En means in, zyme is the yeast. So this factor, this enzyme, whichever is which this enzyme, whichever molecule it is, which converting this fermentation sugar to alcohol, that molecule he termed as enzyme. And later on in 1897, then Buckner, these are two scientists, brothers, Buckner brothers, they extracted actually this gymase enzyme, one enzyme called gymase, they extracted it and they showed that it can do its job outside the cells as well as in the within the cells. So they extracted and showed its catalytic activity outside the cell as well. Then in 1926, urease was the first enzyme to be crystallized by Sumner, and he confirmed that enzymes are made up of protein. The chemical nature is the protein. So how this is the enzyme structure of an enzyme called alpha chymotrypsin. So how enzymes are made? Enzymes are entirely made of protein. There is only one exception, that is called ribozymes. Ribozymes are made up of nucleotides. They are not protein molecules, but they have catalytic activity. Other than that, till today, all enzymes, whatever enzymes we know, all enzymes are made up of protein molecules, and we know in our previous sections, previous lessons, we have learned that enzymes, the proteins are made up of amino acids, and amino acids are the amphoteric molecule. These have deuterion, they have COOH, the carboxylic terminal, carboxylic group and amino group, and thus carboxylic group shows little negative charge, and this amino group shows little basic nature. So this has both nature. Amino acid is amphoteric in nature. So amino acid polymerizes to form a polypeptide chain, and these amino acids in a polypeptide chain are held by the peptide bond you have seen in earlier class, previous class, and then secondary structure and then finally tertiary structure forms. There are folding patterns in the polypeptide chain. So enzymes are proteinaceous in nature, means they are made up of proteins, and they are catalyst. Catalyst means they can catalyze a reaction. The reaction which can take lots of energy and lots of time, they can make that reaction uh, very fast and within with very low amount of energy, almost less than half or sometimes around half amount of energy only is needed. And enzymes can be of simple enzymes, like they are completely made up of protein molecules like pepsin and amylase, means completely they are made up of polypeptide chain, which is made up of amino acid, so they are made up of proteins. And some enzymes have other parts as well, non proteinaceous parts, so those enzymes are called conjugated enzymes because they have non protein parts. So this is a urease, and you can see there is a few name written here: aspartate 102, histidine 57, and serine 195. So these are amino acids, and these are amino acids present at the active site of this alpha chymotrypsin enzyme. So this is very important part of the enzyme where actually the reaction takes place. So let's have more detailed look on the holo enzyme or the conjugated enzyme we saw earlier. So they are made up of apoenzyme, which is the protein part of the enzyme, part, and this is the cofactor is the non-protein part of the holo enzyme. And when they are together, apoenzyme with cofactor, only then it is holo enzyme, and holo enzyme is the active part, active component or active enzyme. Without cofactor, this enzyme, which is protein part, cannot be active. It cannot do its job. So let's see in detail. Apoenzyme is the protein part of the enzyme, and it is heat labile, means it is heat sensitive. If temperature goes beyond its optimum level, then it can lose its structure and gradually its function, and finally it can be degraded, like its structure can be broken down. So it is heat sensitive, and this is the part because as we saw in the earlier slide, protein part has this amino acid which form the catalytic site, active site. So that's why it determines the substrate specificity, like which substrate will bind with this active site. And the coenzyme, prosthetic, and activator, these are actually cofactor. Cofactor can be of these three types. All these are cofactors. Prosthetic group is a group which can be derived from some coenzymes like vitamin. It can be derived from vitamins. But the beauty of the prosthetic group is a cofactor can be prosthetic group when it is tightly bound to the enzyme with the covalent bond. So it cannot be easily removed, and it is very essential for the function of the enzyme. And the coenzymes these are also organic compounds. They can be derived from the various vitamins, such as these are FAD, NAD, PLP, etc. So these are non-protein part, and they are loosely bound. Compared to this, they are loosely bound to the protein part of the apoenzyme, protein part of the enzyme. And third is the activator. These are the inorganic ions such as potassium, manganese, magnesium, calcium, something. So they stimulate the activity of enzyme. If we remove this ion from the buffer in which the reaction is taking place, then activity may be hampered or reduced. So once again, we will see here the diagrammatic pattern of the diagram of the holo enzyme. So this is the apoenzyme, this gray part. This is the protein part of the enzyme called apoenzyme, and this is the coenzyme. And here we have cofactor another, and this form the catalytic site, the active site of the enzyme. So there is an international union of biochemistry and molecular biology, and they have classified this enzyme into 6 classes. Previously it was 6, now they have added one more classes. So in the textbook we have only 6, so I have shown here only 6 classes. So oxidoreductases, transferases, hydrolases, lyases, isomerases, ligases. What do they? They are classified into different classes based on their reactions they perform. Oxidoreductases, they perform the oxidation and reduction reactions by transferring the electron, and example is hydrogenases. Another class is the transferases. They transfer the functional groups such as amino group is present, so they can transfer the NH2 group from one molecule to another. So there are various kinds of kinases and transaminases. Lots of transaminases are found in our body, such as aspartate aminotransferases, So there are another third class of the enzyme called hydrolases. They cleave the bond using the water molecule, and all the digestive enzyme we see in our body, we eat our food and they are finally digested with the help of hydrolases, amylases, lipases. So another class is lyases. They remove the bond, they remove the group and form the double bond. So they are decarboxylases, and another is the isomerases. So they do the intramolecular rearrangement of the molecule. So the only the group within a molecule changes. So there are isomerases and mutases, example of these enzymes. Then we have sixth class as ligase. They join the two molecules using the ATP, and famous example is the DNA ligase. In the molecular biology lab, recombinant DNA technology, we use the DNA ligase extensively to clone to join two DNA molecules like vector, the plasmid DNA with the insert molecule. And then we have also the EC number. Each enzyme is assigned 4 digits number. Like here we have 5.3.1.1. It is for triose phosphate isomerase, and the 5 is represented this class. So isomerase, here we have isomerase, then fifth class is the isomerases. So this is the sub class. First digit represents the class, second digit represents the subclass, and third digit represents the subclass, and further the fourth digit represents the serial number of the enzymes. So in this way enzymes have been classified, and each enzyme has been assigned a specific number. So mechanism of enzyme action. So here we can see in the diagrammatic pattern. So these are the substrate and this is our enzyme. Enzyme has active site. So this enzyme serves as a platform where this substrate can come together and react and then converted into the final product, and this enzyme is released unchanged. So during whole reaction, enzyme takes active part in the reaction, but it ultimately remains unchanged. It is not consumed during the reactions. So, but it has been observed and found that during this reaction, how this involvement of enzyme with substrate takes place. So it has been found that enzyme substrate complex. This is a very short-lived entity, means it reacts, substrate reacts with enzymes and it form a complex. But for very transient time, for few seconds, and then the product is released. And we will see in little details how this enzyme substrate complex is working and catalyzing this reaction so beautifully. So there are two mechanisms how this binding of enzyme and substrate takes place. There are two proposed mechanisms. One is lock and key model. It was proposed by Emil Fischer in 1898. 1898 में एमिल फिशर ने प्रपोज किया लॉक एंड की. एज वी सी लॉक, जैसे हम अपने घरों में लॉक, ताला और चाबी देखते हैं, हम जाते हैं अपने घर में और डोर में ताला लगा होता है, कहीं अलमारी में ताला है, एंड देन वी हैव की, चाबी उसके लिए, एंड ओपन करते हैं. सो चाबी क्या होता है, एक फिक्स स्ट्रक्चर का बना होता है, एंड उसी के कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री उसमें ग्रुप्स होते हैं लॉक में, एंड सो दैट इट कैन फिट देयर एंड ओपन द लॉक. So Emil Fischer proposed a rigid model of enzyme active site. So he proposed that substrate shape matches with the rigid active site perfectly like a key in a lock. So here we have diagrammatic representation of this model. So this is our enzyme. It has active site, you can see here, and these are the substrate, and substrate is just complementary to the active site. It can perfectly fit into the enzyme and form the enzyme substrate complex, and then during further in upcoming time enzyme will be released, and products and enzyme will be released. And another model is induced fit model. It was proposed by Koshland in 1966. So this is the latest model compared to that, and this is the most accepted model, and we can practically demonstrate this model in our labs in research methodology we have like X-ray crystallography, and so in this we have captured this enzyme substrate complex. So what happened? Substrate is like that we see earlier, but enzyme is not exactly complementary of that. So what it does, as soon as substrate bonds with the enzyme, enzyme has uh, enzyme rearranged itself. So that is called conformational changes. It changed its shape as per the substrate, so that it can accommodate the substrate in its active site and binds properly. And finally the enzyme substrate complex is formed, and which results into the products as well as the enzyme. Unchanged enzyme is separate. So here active site is flexible. It is not rigid as suggested by the lock and key model. So it is flexible. Binding of the substrate induces the shape change or conformational change in the enzyme, so that it improves the fit and strain substrate bonds. So what is the beauty of enzyme? How does it reacts? It quickly perform the reactions compared to if we do not have enzyme in the reaction. So what it does, it actually lowers the enzyme. You can see this curve. Here we have energy and there the reaction coordinate. So what is happening? There is this reaction is happening. So this is ethene which is reacting with hydrogen and will be forming this. Then if we see this curve, the tallest curve, it is activation energy of uncatalyzed reaction. If this reaction is performed without enzyme, then transition state, it requires huge amount of energy. This is the energy, this y-axis is energy. So this much energy is required to catalyze these reactions. We cannot say catalyze, like to complete this reaction, because we are not using enzyme here. But when we are using the enzyme, this curve, the lowest curve, then activation energy is reduced considerably compared to the uncatalyzed reactions. So therefore enzyme speed up reactions by lowering the activation energy, as we see here. So it reduces the required amount of energy to perform the reactions. So in the uncatalyzed reactions, high energy barriers is there, but in catalyzed reactions we have low energy barrier. So example is there, decomposition of hydrogen peroxide. If we perform this decomposition without enzyme, then it takes almost 18 kilocalorie per mole. When we perform this reaction in the presence of catalase enzyme, then what happens? Energy requirement is almost 6.4 kilocalorie per mole, which is approximately 65% reduction in energy. So this is the beauty. In the presence of enzyme, the same reaction is done quickly and with less amount of energy. So thank you so much for your attention. So today we saw how enzymes are made and what are their specific functions, how they perform their function in the cell. So thank you so much.